We're live. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bitcoin Developers. I am your host, Connor Okus. We've been away a little minute, but it's good to see. It's good to be back, and it's good to provide some more education and Bitcoin knowledge that will help you on your journey to become a Bitcoin developer. We've got 11 people in the chat so far, from what I can tell. I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from. Please let us know if you've missed us or not. Like, we've got quite a lot of good feedback from these live Twitches and demos we do. So we've got my man Steven from ATL. I think I might be pulling up on ATL soon. Like, I hear there's a really good conference called TabConf going on. So hope to make my way down to that. Anything else? What's been going on? I don't think we've done a stream since maybe like March. I feel like everyone's kind of like head down working at the minute, which is really awesome. But we've definitely got a lot of stuff in store in the pipeline coming up. So, well, before we start, if you're new here, welcome. We have a host of previous episodes for you to kind of tune into as well. So we've got someone from Seattle as well. Shout out to Seattle. Let me share my screen here, actually, see if I can give you guys a bit of a visual. So I'll share this one. So we do have we obviously have the Twitch, which I think most of you might be, you're obviously tuning in to now. Some of you might even be on the Twitter as well. We're live streaming there as well. So, but if you want to go back and watch previous episodes, probably YouTube is the best place to go. We've currently got 261 subscribers on the YouTube. Like, I don't know, man. Like, before the end of this episode, I want to get that to like 270 if we can. Like, I want to see some more likes, more subscriptions. We're in a bit of a bear market as well right now. So like, but the only number I really care about is the number of Bitcoin developers going up, to be honest. So, and we've got someone tuning in from El Salvador as well. That's awesome. Was there last November at Adopting Bitcoin, which was a really cool event. Hope to make it there again this year. But instead of me kind of blabbering on, I'll take you over to our guest and we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to be getting into today. So we're going to be changing gears or switching gears a little bit, and our focus will be on privacy and particularly CoinSwap and its implementation via Teleport. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. So we have our guest here with us today, Chris Belcher. How's it going, Chris? How you doing?
Hey, Connor. Yeah, it's going great.
Awesome. So you're gonna talk to us and show us a little bit about something called teleport and the CoinSwap protocol. But before we get into all of that nice nitty gritty stuff, can you tell us a little bit about like your background and like how you got into Bitcoin development?
Yeah, sure. So I've been a computer programmer for quite a while, and I've always been really interested in cryptography and with how the internet can connect people, like to create new forms of interaction between people, new trade, new socializing, everything really. That's been my interest for a long time. Now, as for Bitcoin itself, I got into it quite a few years ago, and I remember back then there really wasn't, like, people talked a lot about privacy in Bitcoin, how is it an anonymous currency, but really the understanding wasn't really there in the way there is today. So one thing I remember is when I first started, many wallets did address reuse. Your wallet would give you one address, and that was that. And so if you used these wallets, then your whole privacy would be there wouldn't be any, essentially. So BIP32 was brand new. I remember that.
Okay. And what for you, like what is the most like your most important aspect of Bitcoin? Like what kind of drives you to want to work on Bitcoin?
That's a good question. So I quite like how there's no counterparty risk. So there's that idea that if you have a Bitcoin wallet and you keep its seed phrase secret, then nobody can take your money. Like no matter what, how good the excuse is, no matter what they come up with, it's really only yours. Your transaction needs to have enough confirmations. I forgot to mention that, but it's genuinely your possession, and I find that really powerful.
Okay. So being able to like truly self custody your own money, no counterparty risk. Okay, that's interesting. And how long? You might have mentioned, but how long have you been doing Bitcoin development for?
So I remember reading about Bitcoin in 2013, and then I think I sat down to actually do some programming, maybe in 2014 or 15 or around then. There were some projects.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. And what would you say is like what kind of tips or advice would you give to people who want to get into Bitcoin development? Like how should they look at it? Should they look at this vast thing that is Bitcoin and study it broadly, and then perhaps go into a specific area that they find most interest in, whether it be the self-custodial aspect or the privacy aspect, or maybe some people are more inclined towards security? Like how would you tell them to approach it? And even just open source, the open source nature of working on Bitcoin as well.
Yeah. The open source the open source aspect is very good because it's all the work is out there. It's easy for anyone to find it and look at it. And with open source, you get the opportunity to work with like really smart developers out there. Some core devs I know that taught me, or I like read the stuff they wrote back when I first started. So yeah, there's that. Definitely the idea of reading or kind of learning everything you can about Bitcoin just to see, and then seeing where your interest takes you. Like for me, that interest was privacy, and I wanted to learn what's the best way to be private in Bitcoin. And I realized, oh, there's this thing which should exist, but then doesn't exist. And it's kind of in open source or in any coding, it's good if you can scratch your own itch. Like I always thought, oh, it would be really great, if this thing happened, if this thing existed, and then I could try and code it up. And then my first few projects, I remember posting them on back then on the chat rooms, and people said, this is rubbish. Okay, not in those words, they didn't say it was rubbish, but they said, it's not good in this way. You should really do it this other way. And you get good feedback and good stuff. So it's, yeah, I do that. I'd say go where your interest takes you. Like if what you think is interesting and important for Bitcoin, whether that's privacy or security or anything else you mentioned.
Okay, awesome. And so that takes us nicely, like little segue into like the privacy stuff, and that stuff you work on. You've been working on something called CoinSwap. Do you want to give us like a high level overview of kind of like what CoinSwap is?
Yeah. So first, just in case people don't know, privacy is like really important for Bitcoin, and not just because it's good for users, so they don't have privacy, but it's good for the whole system. That Bitcoin as a money requires every unit to be fungible, so that it's always possible to just be paid by a Bitcoin without having to like do loads of analysis of where that coin came from. It should be that every coin is exactly the same as every other. Now for CoinSwap is a protocol. It's a little bit, if people might be familiar with CoinJoin. They're both protocols that improve the privacy of Bitcoin transactions, and they're both non-custodial. So they can be done in a way that nobody can get their money lost. So way back, like in the history of Bitcoin, and they're still sometimes used today, there's these ideas of centralized mixers where you send a coin to some guy, basically, and then he pinky promise to send another coin back to you. And of course, he might not do that. He might steal your money. So CoinJoin and CoinSwap are non-custodial, that a user can't get their money stolen doing this. So what CoinSwap actually is, it works by having two or more people swap their coins. So I don't know, Alice might have, say, 2 Bitcoin and Bob has 2 Bitcoin. And when they follow the CoinSwap protocol, Alice's coins will now be possessed by Bob's, and Bob's coin will be possessed by Alice. And the reason that improves privacy is this swap is not visible on the blockchain. So if anyone is actually analyzing the blockchain, they won't realize this has happened. So they might say, oh, Alice's coin has gone here and now it's been sent to this address. But unbeknownst to them, that actually belongs to Bob. So it's like it's gone to a completely other person there's no link on the blockchain between Alice and Bob. And that improves privacy. Now, the way CoinSwap actually works on a technical level, it's quite similar, if people are familiar with how Lightning works, is that you create a kind of an off-chain contract. You first the coins are locked up in a multi-signature, and then you create an off-chain contract, and that creates a situation where if Alice gets her money, then Bob can't fail to get his money. And if Bob gets his money, then Alice will also necessarily get her money. And then because no one can be cheated, then the cheapest and easiest thing to do is for Alice and Bob to just hand over their keys. That's how it works on a technical level. And then because these transactions, it's just, a regular transaction going from A to B or wherever, then they can be invisible. So CoinSwap transactions can look the same in theory as any other transaction on the blockchain.
Okay, interesting. And how does CoinSwap differ to CoinJoin then?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the way CoinJoin works is you have many people, usually like 5 or 10 or 50. They come together to create a single Bitcoin transaction. And that has, say, 50 coins or whatever the number is going into the transaction as inputs, and then 50 coins going out. So it's called CoinJoin because all their coins have been kind of joined together in one transaction. And CoinSwap works differently, as I explained. So the difference there, I think there's 2 big differences. A really big difference is that CoinSwaps can look like regular Bitcoin transactions, while CoinJoins always look kind of special. You always have these 50 input, or a large number of inputs coming in, a large number of inputs coming out. And with CoinJoin, the anonymity set, so the amount of people who an analyst has to look at is in the CoinJoin, it will be these participants, so 10 or 50 or however much it is. But with CoinSwap, the anonymity set is every transaction out there, almost any transaction out there. So I know Bitcoin blocks, they have about 2,500 transactions per block, which means if you wait the whole day, the anonymity set gets big pretty quickly. And that isn't possible with CoinJoin, or at least it's possible, but it would cost much more in miner fees to make such big CoinJoins. So there are the 2 big differences, that CoinSwaps can really be invisible or indistinguishable to any other blockchain, and they're also cheaper because they use less blockchain space. And that's a thing, especially in the long term, as miner fees go up, people have to look at a cheap way of having privacy, because there's no point in having privacy if it's too expensive in fees.
Yeah, and just to the former point on the transactions being indistinguishable, and your anon set pretty much being everyone or everything, is I guess that point is really important, because if you can't, you might be in environments where it's important to hide the fact that you're actually using a privacy preserving technique, whereas CoinJoin doesn't allow you to actually hide the fact that you're using a privacy preserving technique. I don't know, an authoritarian regime that probably doesn't want you using Bitcoin in the first place, let alone some privacy preserving techniques. If you can hide the fact that you're even doing that, I'm sure that has additional benefits as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's a nice little overview of the CoinSwap protocol. But we have this. You've been working on this thing called Teleport. You're not gonna take us to a parallel universe where we're doing like Bitcoin transactions in a different dimension or anything like that, are you? That's just the name. Do you want to explain a little bit more about teleport transactions?
Yeah, so rather than us going to a different dimension, it will be the Bitcoin that go to a different place on the blockchain. The idea, it's kind of half a joke that CoinSwaps, they kind of teleport the coins to somewhere completely different on the blockchain, and there's no link between them. There's no link on the transaction graph. That's where the name comes from. And it's a name because CoinSwap is a protocol, and you could imagine other people implementing it, and then teleport is just one implementation. So we know for CoinJoin, there was Join Market, and then there's other implementations, Samurai and Wasabi. So there are 3 different ways of implementing a protocol.
Okay, awesome. So because we do like to answer questions as well as we go, and kind of read comments as we go as well. So we've got someone saying you're like an absolute legend.
Yeah, thanks very much.
CoinSwap needs its own BIP and needs to be implemented ASAP. I'm sure you agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I wake up every morning thinking about that. So yeah, completely agree there.
So how do you picture it being used? So you have like this implementation of CoinSwap called Teleport, but is it something that wallet developers would implement directly into their wallets, or is it like just an external piece of software that runs alongside your wallet, or how does that combination work?
So in my kind of vision for this, the end state, I think would be that it would be a kind of library, a software library that wallets which already exist can implement, and then a user who's just holding like their smartphone wallet, they can have an extra button or a checkbox that says send this with enhanced privacy, or maybe send with CoinSwap or something like that. And then when they click that and they press send, then behind the scenes a CoinSwap is happening without them. Like they don't need to download anything extra, and it's hopefully really easy to use. And then as many people as possible can use it. And yeah, that's the end state right now. As we'll see a bit later, it's not quite there yet. But yeah, also another way to do it would be like as a standalone application that's like a mixer, similar to how people use Join Market today or something like that.
Okay, so you're definitely more along the line of thinking of like more like privacy by default, like as opposed to some other techniques we see, like I don't know, coin control, where like a user might be required to select different types of UTXOs depending on their origins and input those into transaction for specific purposes, which requires a lot to get your head around, and it's not always easy to organize if you haven't labeled things properly and stuff like that. You're definitely more along the lines of like, let's just make this a one-click button type of scenario for people.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. Like you could imagine the idea of money is that everyone uses it. Like I could imagine someone, I don't know, a farmer or a butcher who's, doing their business, they're selling meat or whatever, and they're not going to learn too much about coin control. They're just going to click a button that says receive and send and that kind of thing. I mean, it's good if people can learn coin control. It does help, but ideally it would not be necessary to do it.
Okay, that makes sense to me. And can you also tell us a little bit about like what we're going to be doing? Because we're going to probably start a demo of these teleport transactions in a couple of minutes. So could you talk to like what we are going to be actually going through in this?
Okay. So what we'll be doing is we'll be downloading this the software as it is so far, and then we'll go through creating a wallet on Teleport, and then we'll send some coins to that wallet, and then I'll show how you can look at the balance of the wallet, and then I'll show you doing a regular spend, or we'll show you doing a regular spend from the wallet, and then so this wallet will be what we call a market taker. So it's someone like a participant in the protocol who can create a coin swap whenever they want, and as a trader, they need to pay a little bit of fees. Next, we're going to create 2 more wallets, which will be for 2 makers. So market makers, they're like a computer that's always turned on, and it can do a coin swap whenever a taker contacts it, and it will be for the amount that the taker chooses and the time. And for that, the market maker will earn coin swap fees. It's similar, if people are familiar with how Join Market works with makers and takers, it's that same thing. So we'll make one maker wallets, sorry, 1 taker wallet, and then 2 maker wallets. And after we've done that, then we'll do a CoinSwap through all those. It'll be a CoinSwap on Belcher, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be successful. It should be. And then one thing with CoinSwap is that it's possible that that it can fail. So if, for example, a maker's, say they're running on a computer and the internet stops working, or they get a power cut, it's possible for the CoinSwap to fail, and then we'll take you through what happens when that happens and how the taker can get their money back. And it's a little bit like in Lightning that you have to wait for a timeout. And after that, there's something specific to the CoinSwap protocol that it's possible, it's similar to Lightning, that someone can use the hash pre-image to try and cheat the other person. So we can do it, if there's time, we can do a demonstration of that where the CoinSwap fails, but the taker tries to cheat the maker, and then the maker's code will stop that from happening. And that should be really rare because like no one's going to try it if they're always going to fail. But the code has to be there to make the protocol secure, and then it's good to show it happening.
Okay.
And if there really is time, we can make 3 more makers and do like a CoinSwap with 5 hops or something.
All right. That sounds good. That sounds amazing. Okay, cool. Before we dive in, where's a good place for people to kind of follow you and your work? I've got your Twitter up here. Is that a good place for some?
Yeah, there's Twitter, and there's also, I've got so every week I write I call it a work diary. It's the things hold on, I can put it in the private chat. It's all the work I've done on CoinSwap and other stuff in that week. And then if people click that, they can, if they want to check up on how the project's going. And then I'm also on, where else am I on? GitHub and I've got a little website.
Chris Belcher's work diary, yeah? This is very cool.
So so every week or every day when I do something, I write in there. And
very cool.
Yeah, then I've got a website, bitcoinprivacy.me with a donation address. It's linked there as well. But I think the work diary is, if people want to keep up with this, the work diary is the best place to look at.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So, any comments, any observations while I get set up here? So I'm gonna I'm gonna stop sharing my screen while I move to like this more pair programming view. So, Chris, do I just need I just need a CLI for this, right? Yeah, I just need a time. Okay, cool. How are we doing in the chat? Enjoying it so far? We're about to dive in. Before we do, any questions, any observations? If not, we'll kind of like we'll dive straight in. Let me move a few things around before we start. First stream in a while, so I might be a little bit rusty, but I do fancy myself to kind of to make this work and make this happen today. So let's see. I will share this screen, and I'll bring this over as well for now. All right, cool. All right, so where do we start? A bit rusty using Rust today. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm not going to be using Rust today. Thankfully, my Rust skills are a bit rusty because I was learning it earlier in the year. But Rust is a fantastic language, though. This project's written in Rust. Is that correct, Chris, as well?
Yeah. I completely agree. It's a great language.
All right, cool. Let's take me on a journey of teleport transactions.
Okay, so first thing you got to do is download the latest release. So that will be on the right there. There's a button.
Okay, so I did kind of cheat and do that already. And I think it's on my desktop. Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
So I'll seed into that. Cool. So I've downloaded the project. This is in first alpha release. Unzipped it. And what do I go now?
Yeah, now you'll write cargo run. And then I think you do 2 hyphens and write help, and that will tell us all the commands we can do.
Cargo run -- help, or just cargo run first?
A space between the -- and help.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay.
So that's not right. Now that's the help for cargo itself, but we want help for teleport.
All right, so I need to actually run cargo run first.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, so there are the options, these subcommands that direct send, display wallet keys, and so on. So the first thing you want to do is generate wallet.
Okay, so teleport is running now, right?
It's not running at all. So it's kind of some scripts that you run them. How do you call it? Like when you want to generate a wallet, you'd say generate wallet, and then when you want to get a Bitcoin address to send to, you do get receive invoice. And when you want to do a coin swap, you'd run that.
Oh, here we go. Okay, subcommands, got you. Okay. So okay, so the first thing you want to do is generate a wallet.
Yeah, so it's cargo run, and then 2 hyphens, and then space, and then generate wallet.
Generate wallet as one.
Yeah, there's a hyphen between.
There's
a hyphen between generate.
There's a hyphen. Okay.
Okay. I've remembered. So we'll have to connect teleport to your reg test node. And the way you do that is you will actually have to write a tiny bit of Rust. Is do you use Vim or which editor do you use?
VS Code. VS Code. So you can open this in VS Code.
Okay. Yeah. Code, and then it will be in source. From where we are now will be.
What I need to do? Open it like this. Source.
Yeah, and go to source and go to lib.
Lib. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Okay.
And then right at the top, you'll need the, if you scroll up even further, it's right at the top, you'll have to set up these, so the RPC credentials, and they'll have to match the ones which are used in your reg test node.
If I remember, I think it's just admin and password.
Yeah.
I can double check it in a second. So basically you need an instance of Bitcoin in reg test mode. Let me check what I've got set up very quickly. CD. CD into library, application, support, Bitcoin, and reg test. So right now I'm just going to check my Bitcoin conf configuration to see what I've configured it to.
Yeah.
I'll just open it in VS Code as well. Just to double check. Yeah, so admin and password. Okay, cool. Admin and password. Cool. Is that it for RPC credentials?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, it should be, right? Yeah.
So then you close that and then run the same command again, and Cargo will compile it.
Yes. And then it was Cargo and generate wallet.
Yeah. Most likely now it will complain that we also need to create a reg test wallet for. Oh, it hasn't complained yet.
Okay.
Cool. You can just press enter because it's
so input seed phrase
an opportunity to have the seed extension, the extra word, but there's no point here.
Okay. Okay. So this is the area you was talking about here. So importing addresses into core.
Yeah, the wallet isn't loaded. So then on reg test, you need to create a new wallet that's called teleport.
Cool. So I think I've got my CLI set up globally. So I think it's Bitcoin CLI create wallet and teleport, if I remember. I'm trying to remember these commands off.
Yeah, I'll look it up as well because I forget them too.
I'll give that a go. Okay, that looked like that worked. And then I think I actually need to start it again and well, actually, I think I need to load wallet now as well. So because when you start Bitcoin Core nowadays, it doesn't come preloaded with a wallet, I believe. So I think I need to do load wallet and then the name teleport. Include database is already loaded. Okay, so I need to let me start it again.
Now there's a chance this might not work because these days Bitcoin Core creates by default descriptor wallets, and we want to use the old style legacy wallet. But we'll try and we can fix it if it doesn't work.
Cool. So let's start it again. And if I try and load wallet, teleport. Okay, I think that worked. Yeah, loading wallet. Yeah. Okay, so I think we have a wallet named teleport loaded now. And I guess we can go back into the teleport application and run.
We'll try the cargo thing again.
Yeah, we'll try the cargo again.
Yeah, then press enter. Oh, okay. So that looks like a bug. So because the last time it failed, but it had already created a wallet file, and now it's complaining about it again. So probably the best thing to do is to delete that wallet file. So I'd say right now write ls to list them, and it will be called this one, wallet.teleport, right at the end, and then do rm of that.
Okay.
Wallet.teleport.
Okay, remove that list again. Okay, cool. So basically going from the top. Cargo run generate wallet.
I'm gonna just write that down if you bear with me for a second.
Catching live bugs. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're importing addresses into core. Write down this seed phrase. Okay, look like that worked. Do I need to write this down or keep a quick note of it somewhere? Or
nah, there's no reason to, because reg test coins are useless.
Yeah, cool.
Worthless. Not useless, worthless. Quite useful.
Yeah, this is a very important distinction. Okay, cool. So we have a wallet. We've generated a wallet in the teleport application that's connected to our Bitcoin Core instance running in reg test mode.
Yeah. Then what we need to do is we'll get some Bitcoin addresses from this wallet. And the way you do that, the command is called get receive invoice. Or if you want, you can run help again.
Okay, so if I do, yeah, that would help me actually. So, oh no, I don't want cargo run help. I want remind me how I do the teleport help subcommand again.
So it'll be cargo run, and then 2 hyphens, and then space, and then help.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. So the one we're going to use now is just under generate wallet, get receive invoice.
Get receive invoice, and this says it prints receive invoice. Okay, cool.
Yeah. This was back about a year ago. There were some ideas to rename Bitcoin address into Bitcoin invoice, because then it makes it more obvious that you only meant to use it once, but it never really caught on.
Okay. I need a dash here as well, I guess.
Yeah. All right, cool. Then you have an address. And I'd actually recommend creating 2 more. So you have 3 of them. Yeah. And the reason is that if you imagine in a CoinSwap, so we had our earlier example of Alice and Bob, and they're swapping, say, 2 Bitcoins between each other. That would be really easy to break by an analyst, because they can say, oh, look, Alice, she had 2 Bitcoins. All I need to do is search the whole blockchain for another coin, which is also worth exactly 2 Bitcoins. And it'll be easy to break the CoinSwap in that way. So the way to beat this is Alice won't send her 2 Bitcoins in one transaction. She'll send it in 3 or more transactions. Like the default is 3. So she might send, I don't know, 1 Bitcoin and then 0.3 and then 0.7. And altogether they add up to 2. And then Bob, when he sends it back, he'll send in some of his own amount. He might send 0.5, 0.6, and 0.9.
Okay.
And then together that will add up to 2. And that's the reason we need 3 addresses, because we'll need 3, there'll be 3 transactions coming from that. So now what you have to do is you'll go to your Bitcoin CLI and then send money to each of these 3 addresses.
Okay. Let me, how's the best way to do this? Yeah, let me split my window again. Okay, so I want to send Bitcoin to these 3 addresses, yeah?
Yeah, and does your Bitcoin registest actually have registest coins? If not, you'll have to generate them.
Good point. We can check that by doing Bitcoin CLI get balance, I guess.
Yeah, 0.
Okay, so we have 0. So if you want to...
so the best thing to do, I think, is there's a command get new address, which will give you an address in any wallet.
Okay.
And then you use a thing called generate to address.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have that. And then what you want, I believe it's, I'm going to just double check. I think it's generate to address, and then there's like an argument which is how many blocks there should be.
Yeah. And then the address. So I'll copy this address. So basically, this is because remind me why this is because it's because
maturity. So when a coin is created, then it can only be spent when 100 other blocks have passed. So we need to create 101 blocks, and then we'll have some coins we can use.
Okay, and now if we check our balance, so basically we've just mined 101 blocks, and we should have 50 Bitcoin. I think it should be. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. All right. So we've got 50 Bitcoins that we can spend now. So
I'm going to want to send them to these 3 addresses, and I've actually forgotten the command. It's something like send to.
Yeah, I think it might be send
should
to
run help to remind ourselves.
Yeah, I'm gonna YOLO it. I think it's send to address. Actually, no, I'm not gonna YOLO. I'm gonna actually do help. Okay, so we have send to address, which just takes an address and an amount. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Send to address takes an address. So we're sending to all 3 of these, yeah?
Yeah, I guess we'll do one by one.
Yeah, okay. Any specific amount? So it doesn't really matter, just 5 Bitcoin to each, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to remember it for later, but 5 works.
And you have the second argument was the amount. It's giving us a transaction ID, I guess. Monero may be the most famous privacy coin. Yeah, I'll let me read it. Monero may be the most famous privacy coin. Would you want Bitcoin to get some of its ideas like stealth addresses, ring CT signatures? I think that might be implemented, or will Bitcoin solve the privacy problem another way? Yeah, Chris, you can answer that while I load up these.
Yeah, that's Bitcoin a good question. So Bitcoin already has stealth addresses. They can be used, and there are some downsides to them, but they are like good in certain situations. Now, the thing with ring CT is like it does work for improving privacy, but my concern and a lot of people's concern of that is that it reduces the scalability. So it makes Monero full nodes, like all else equal, if the same number of transactions and so on, they'll be much more expensive to run. So the thing with ring CT, so for people that don't know, that means that you can create a certain type of signature, which proves that, say there's a list of 10 coins, and it proves that one of them is spent, but the verifier doesn't know which one, and that improves privacy that way. The downside, the trade-off is that because there's these 10 coins and you don't know which one is spent, you can't delete them. The way Bitcoin's full node works is that when a coin is spent, it deletes it from its database. And Monero can't do that deleting. It has to keep the whole history of all the coins that have ever existed, going back years and years and whatever, has to keep them there forever and can't ever get rid of them, which means all else equal, Monero uses much more resources. It uses more RAM, more hard disk space, and everything else than Bitcoin. So a further kind of related concern is these ring CT signatures. They use to actually calculate them and verify them. It uses more CPU. So I remember if you do the maths of if Bitcoin and if Monero had the same transaction volume as Bitcoin, like then the full node would not be possible to run on like a normal computer. You'd need like a much more expensive computer, and that would make it much less decentralized. So that's kind of my concern with Monero, is that, yeah, the privacy is good, but the scalability is not that great. And then that will eventually, I think, make it lose its decentralization. So for better or for worse, we're really, I wouldn't say stuck with Bitcoin, because there's a lot of good things about Bitcoin, but it's best to build on Bitcoin itself. Like it's more, it has the network effect, it has more users, and I believe with CoinSwap and with loads of other technologies, we can really get great privacy.
Nice, fantastic little interlude there. All right, it's cool. I've loaded up these Bitcoin addresses with coins now.
Yeah. So now go to the teleport one and write wallet balance. So it's another command.
So cargo run dash wallet dash balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we should see our coins. Yeah. So here we go. So we've got on the far left, we've got the coins, which are the out points. In the middle, we've got the addresses, and they're all zero confirmation, and their value is 5 Bitcoins. And this is interesting. The reason I haven't put the whole address or transaction ID is because I think it's, I see this quite a lot of people, is they often take addresses and put them into blockchain explorers or into something else. And that's really not great for privacy, because you're essentially telling this blockchain explorer, here's an address that I'm interested in. So this is just something, I mean, it's a small detail, but it's something that I think maybe more wallets should do, is that if you blank out the middle, users can tell, oh yeah, this is an address, I got paid with it, but it's much harder to accidentally copy paste it into something that ruins your privacy.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
And what was, sorry, what was the coin column? Is that just
so that's out point. That's a transaction ID and then a V out, like the number at the end.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. Got you.
So these are zero confirm. So now what we should do is create one more block to make them actually mined into the blockchain.
Oh yeah. So CoinSwap. What is it? Just is it the same? Is it really the same command? Generate to address again.
Yeah, and then if you can remember that earlier address, you can use that. And I'll just create one block this time.
Let's see if I can actually just use the command I used before.
Yeah, that's it. It'll be good to keep that somewhere saved, because you'll be using it a fair amount to create blocks.
Okay. Let me just copy this. Sorry. Okay, so just generate one block, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. One block.
All right. And then do wallet balance again, just to check that it's working. It really is mined, although it looks the same, just 0 becomes a 1. All right, that's great. So now, next thing is to do a regular spend, like as if it was a normal wallet. So the command in teleport is called direct send.
So cargo run. I'll just do a quick help so I can just for my benefit.
Yeah, direct send, because it has
so we have direct send. Okay, so send a transaction from the wallet. Cool. Seems pretty
so it'll be good to do help and then direct send, and it will tell us the arguments we need. Like where does the amount go and the address.
Help direct send.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one is send amount, and then destination, and the coins you want to spend.
Okay, so this is amount in sats, destination, and coins to spend. Okay.
Yeah, so this is kind of forced coin control. You have to tell it which coins you're going to spend. And so for that, you'll need to run wallet balance to get, so we can see which coins to use. You'll copy paste them.
Okay, yep. Wallet. Okay, so we need to select one of these to actually use.
Maybe take the first one. It's just the coin. So starting 60 and ending with :0.
ending with this whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry, where are we sending to at this point? So is
We can send back to the same wallet. So it's just to show that what it
got
looks
you.
like. I mean,
Okay, I got you. Cargo run again. Direct send. And then
maybe for amount you could do I don't know, 1 Bitcoin or some amount.
Yeah. Okay. It's in sats,
Oh,
right?
it's in sats, so it'll be 100 million or something. 1 followed by 8 zeros.
1, 2, 4. Is that right? That looks about right.
Yeah.
To find out.
And then,
destination.
say if you're getting an address, you can just write the word wallet.
Okay. Just like that, or in
Yeah, that's right.
That's fine. And then
you
coins
can,
to spend.
Yeah, you can paste the coin you had.
Like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so cargo run direct send. Okay.
All right, did that.
Okay, so it's come back and said actual fee rate 3.5 sats per virtual byte. Where does it get the fee rate from? Is that just automatically?
It's an optional argument, but it's kind of
okay.
right now it's not as important to get it exactly right, so I've made it kind of guess, and it's the actual fee rate. But when it's actually used, then you can set the fee rate exactly.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, and then if you run wallet balance again, we should see that it's got, like, we should see what's happened. And we'll probably need to create another block to make sure it gets mined. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, cool. And mine another block.
All right. So now we have a wallet.
Cool. Okay.
So the next thing to do is we should repeat that process and create 2 more wallets. And there'll be 1 wallet for each maker that will run.
Okay.
Now, the way you do that, we'll use generate wallet again, but we'll give it a parameter, which is the name of the wallet. It will have to be different.
What? So what did we give the original wallet? Did we give that?
So it's default. By default, it's wallet.teleport.
Okay.
And then right now you can use, I'll tell you the command, we'll call it maker1.teleport and maker2.teleport. Probably easiest.
So I
want to... What you do, right now you press 2 hyphens.
So cargo run hyphen.
Yeah, and then another 2 hyphens.
Another 2.
And then, but without the space, it will have to be wallet-file-name. So just 1 second, it'll be without the space. So hyphen, and then wallet straight away.
Okay.
Yeah, like that.
And then file, and then name, was it?
Yeah. And then equals, and it will be the name maker1.teleport, I suggest.
Look good.
Yep. And then write generate wallet.
Straight after.
Yeah.
So generate wallet. I've got to give it the hyphen in between. Enter. Okay, so now we have 2. Now we have 2 wallets. We have the default one that we set up earlier, and then this second, what we're calling it maker 1, but it's the second maker essentially.
Yeah, or the first maker. So the first wallet we'll use the taker.
Oh, okay.
And then for this, I suggest doing create to receive invoice 3 times again. So don't do that. Maybe go back to the generate invoice that you just used, because then you don't have to type in wallet file name again.
So, oops. Go back to here.
Okay. And then delete generate wallet and write get receive invoice.
Oh, okay.
That should be right.
Yeah, 3 times. Okay, so
Yeah.
so this just makes sure it generates the addresses for this specific wallet. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. I got you.
And then when people are using this in the real world, they'll just have one wallet. Like there's no need
Got
to
you.
have three on the same computer.
Yeah.
But when
Okay.
you're testing,
Yeah.
do it this way.
Got you. Okay.
And then the same thing again, but with make a two.teleport.
Make a two teleport, and then I guess you want to do generate wallet for this one as well. Yeah. How are we getting on in the chat? We've got a nice classroom full here, like about 30 people. If you have any questions, feel free to chime in. We will answer questions as we go along. We've got about 35, 40 minutes left roughly. Okay, so I've created my second maker wallet.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll need addresses for those as well.
Yeah.
So I can do get receive and receive invoice 3 times. This feels like it's gonna get hairy. So many addresses and so many wallets, but I've got for it so far. So
there is a command we can use called send many. So for Bitcoin CLI, and then you could send to all 6 at once.
Oh, okay, that sounds fun. Bitcoin CLI send to many, yeah.
I think it's send many.
Send many. Let's just double check it just to make sure. Yeah, you're right. Send many. Okay. Okay. Send many, and then do you just paste? You just paste.
It looks like you need kind of an empty string first.
Yeah. So do I just address amount?
Yeah, then it's this kind of JSON thing. So I'd suggest opening open a quote mark and then a curly bracket and then / quote mark.
Curly bracket. Oh, Jason in the terminal. And then what have we got? Address.
Wait, but the address will be the actual address. So scroll up to find those ones we generated.
Okay, yeah. So maker one. Okay, so the first one is here. I definitely have a feeling I'm gonna mess up this JSON format, but let's give it a go. So what do I do? So I open bracket, backtick, and then address.
Actually, hold on. Don't do backtick. It has to be / rather than backtick. It's like escape the quote.
Oh yeah. Okay. /
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. And then close the quote. Oh no, well.
Another / quote.
And then another / quote like that.
Yeah, but without so there's just one quote rather than 2 of them. So
do we want sugar? Let's do that again. So okay, so quote and then
so press backspace once more.
Yeah.
So it should be like, I'll put it in the private in this chat. It should be the / first and then the quote.
I got you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then you write a colon and we'll put the amount we want to send, which could be 5 Bitcoins, I guess.
Inside. Oh no, here. And then how much do we want to send? 5?
Yeah, but you'll need a quote. So after the / put a quote mark. Yeah, colon and then write 5. And then you do a comma.
Yeah.
And then we'll do the next address, the same thing.
Okay.
We'll do that for all of them.
Okay. handcrafting transactions is not it's not easy, but we'll get there. Okay, so so this is the second one from the maker one.
Yeah.
So I need to escape again. Yeah. And I really hope this works at the end of, at the end of it.
If it doesn't, you can press up and then you just try
yeah,
again.
we'll
and
just edit. I'll probably do it in my code editor. It might be a bit easier. So that was 1. That was 2. This is 3.
Yeah.
So I want a backslash, comma.
So we need the comma.
Oh, so yeah, comma. Yeah. Thank you. Need a comma. Need a backslash. Need a quote. I need an address. I need a backslash, and I need a quote again. I need a comma, and I need an amount, and I need a comma slash quote 4th address. Where does the 4th address start? Here. Escape. Comma. Are all the amounts the same? Do we want to send the same amounts again, or
Yeah.
5 for all of them? Yeah. Okay. Comma 2 to go, guys. Almost there. Just making sure there's no comments in the chat. No, we're good. 5th address, I think.
Yeah.
5th address. Where are we? 1, 2. Okay, 5th address. The attention to detail I'm having to show right now is actually mad. Backslash. Backslash. Colon 5, comma. I think this might be the last one. Double checking. No.
Yeah, no, that's not right.
That's,
Go
yeah,
down.
that's this one. Yeah. Okay.
And then don't press enter just yet.
No, I wasn't planning to. No, so 5. Okay.
Yeah, and then make the close curly bracket and a quote.
Yeah. That.
So the thing I mentioned that send many has a dummy first argument. I'll write in the private chat.
Okay.
And the dummy argument is just like an empty string. So it'll be send many, empty string, and then the whole JSON you wrote.
Send many. So the first parameter is an empty string, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should do hold control and then press back, and then it will jump quicker. I think that maybe doesn't work on Mac.
Yeah.
All right.
1 second. I know.
Or if you press home.
And I've got a way to do this. Yeah, how do you? Anyone know a shortcut for?
Try Control A.
Control A. Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah.
Nice one, thank you. All right, does that look good?
I think so.
Okay.
That's good.
That actually worked. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I think. Right. So it looks. What is this? We just got a transaction ID back.
It's like a batched payment that pays to all 6 at once.
That's my first batched pay. I'm quite proud of that. Okay. So we just sent to our maker wallet addresses.
Yeah. So now I'd suggest create one more block, and then we'll do wallet balance for every wallet, or for the 2 maker wallets, to see what it looks like.
Okay, can I clear my screen because I'm getting a bit of a headache, I think. So we wanted to generate 2 addresses. So we're mining 1 block again, and then PG up. Also, no clue about Mac hotkeys. Yeah. And then we want to see the balances of these 2 maker wallets now, right?
So press up to the one which said get receive invoice and change it to wallet balance.
Balance.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Goes exactly right.
Cool.
And you can do the same again for maker 2.
Maker 2 wallet balance. I feel like I pasted one of their addresses wrong, but we'll soon find out. I didn't. Okay.
No, it's all good. Okay, so now you're going to have to create more terminals, because we're going to have these makers and takers running at the same time.
More terminals. How do I want to do this? Maybe just split horizontally.
Split them a few times. So you'll need how many? You'll need 4 altogether. Oh, and including the. Oh no, yeah, 4 is fine.
Okay, let me do this.
Yeah, side by side.
Smaller. A new window. Okay, let's see how this goes.
Right. So in these, you'll have to CD to the directory teleport transactions.
Teleport. For all of them, yes. CD.
Yeah.
And cool.
Okay, now we'll pick one, probably in the lower right's the best, I suppose. And there you have to run the watchtower, and that's a separate script, and that will do, it's similar to Lightning, so that will watch the blockchain for if things are happening which deviate from the protocol, and then it will take action if it needs to. And that's a separate script, because if the main maker script crashes, then the watchtower still works and protects the person's money. And also eventually people will be able to run multiple watchtowers, like maybe on different machines, so that if one machine has a power cut, they still have the watchtower running somewhere else. So the way you do that.
Okay, before we do, just the watchtower thing. So what's the, walk me through that just a little bit. Like why do I need a watchtower?
Okay, so the CoinSwap protocol, it has one of the security assumptions is that something always has to be watching the blockchain, and then if certain transactions are broadcasted, this watchtower will have to react in a way by broadcasting other transactions, and that's needed for CoinSwap to be secure. So for people's money to not be stolen.
Okay. All right. I think that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Only makers need it.
Okay.
So when, like, if this is important, if someone has this like running on a smartphone and their smartphone goes into a tunnel, but because they're just a taker, they don't need a watchtower because of how it works. Only makers need it.
Okay. Cool. Only makers need it.
And the way we do that is you do cargo run and then hyphen, and then the command is run hyphen watchtower.
Tower. So this could be like technically running on some external server somewhere. Like it doesn't have to be running like.
And there could be multiple of them. So like one in the person's home, and then one on some server somewhere else. And if there's a power cut in one place, it'll still be working. Okay, so now we'll run one of the makers. We'll do that on another terminal window.
Okay, I'll go top right for this one.
Yeah. So that will be, again, cargo run, hyphen, and then you'll need the hyphen wallet file name equals taker1.teleport with the hyphens, remember, as well.
Oh yeah. And then it was wallet file name equals one.teleport, was it?
Yeah. Now just you've added an extra space before wallet file name.
Oh yeah. Okay, thank you. Teleport. And what command I'm actually running?
The command is called run yield generator. So it will be run -yield -generator.
Run yield generator. Is that it? Is it take any arguments or anything? Or?
Yeah. No, there's at this point we don't need any arguments.
Okay.
So this is, if people are familiar with join market, it's the same kind of thing. It's also called a yield generator there.
Okay.
So now we'll maybe on the lower left, you do the same thing, but for maker2.teleport.
Okay.
And then there'll be an extra argument, which I'll tell you about.
Let's two, and then was run yield generator.
And then wait, but don't run it yet. So, although maybe this is a good example. So, in kind of the real world, they'll always be using the same port, 6102. But when you run multiple on the same machine, you need a different port. So the way you do that is you add one argument. So just press up, and then write 16102. Yeah.
So the current maker yield generator thing is running on 6102.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So the yield generators are running. So you could imagine in the real world, these just run 24 hours a day, and they're always ready to do a coin swap with whoever asks, and all they ask is a little bit of fee. So now we're going to run a taker.
So who would run these generators?
This would be people anyone who has Bitcoins, but who doesn't really want to use them straight away. So maybe they're saving in Bitcoins. And it's a little bit like maybe an interest rate in a bank account. Is you have Bitcoins and you do something, you can earn a little bit of income from them. It's maybe closer to like
okay.
And
so they're taking like fees. Are they just taking fees?
They earn fees. Okay, whenever a coin swap happens, the yield generator will earn some money, and that's their incentive. That's the whole reason they're doing this.
Got you.
So it's using market forces to create a system where it's always possible to create a coin swap, like without waiting. You just press a button.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, and so then we'll do the maker. We'll do that in the top left, and now you don't need to do wallet file because it was already used the default, which is just wallet.teleport. So this will be.
So we have just a quick comment as well. I love the port number.
The port number.
And then, so being a CoinSwap maker might be a way to make a profit similar to being a miner or Lightning node operator.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that is, if people are interested, they can already do this on Join Market. And that's been a thing for years already. And it's exactly the same principle here, that if it's people who have some Bitcoins and they can be mixed, they get involved in coin joins or coin swaps. And all you need to do is you need to run maybe a Raspberry Pi in your own home or something like that. And it's non-custodial. So there's basically zero risk of your coins being stolen. It's a lot then like a Lightning node operator. Yeah, or it's like there's recently people have been calling that DeFi thing, decentralized finance, but that's actually completely different because those things actually are custodial. So people can really get their money stolen. But on here and with Lightning node operators, your money can't be stolen.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. So to run a taker, it'll be the same thing: cargo, run, then 2 hyphens.
So should we do this in this top left terminal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't need to do you don't need to do the second set of 2 hyphens. So now you can just write the command is called do CoinSwap. So do -CoinSwap. And it has one argument, which is the amount in Satoshis. So I'd suggest maybe 2 Bitcoins or anything that's less than 5. 2 is the best, especially because we started way back
in Satoshis as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, in Satoshis.
Yeah.
2 followed by 8 zeros.
Oh, I lost count there. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And then when you press enter, then it will do its thing, and that's correct to me.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see now they're connecting to those things. So first it kind of gets the offers, it gets all the it gets the like what the fees are offering and what's the maximum amount. So if you look on the top left,
top left. Okay,
I'll talk you through everything.
Okay.
You know, actually, might be easier if you could make that top left one, make it a bit wider because the messages are quite long. Yeah, that's good. So what it's done, the first line, it says got offers. What it's done there is it's connected to every single maker, and it's asked them what's the maximum amount that you can do a coin swap with, and what's your fee and other parameters like time lock.
How does it know which makers to connect to? Is that
so they're in the when it's reg test, then they're hard coded. That it's hard coded on localhost. But in the real world, there'll be like a basically a message board server where makers can advertise themselves, and they have their Tor onion, and then takers will connect all those onions and get the thing.
And is it something like you can configure like at the start to say like every time I want to do a coin swap, I want to use these makers, and then you just have a list of their Tor addresses?
Yeah, you could do that. Although it will probably be more practical for a user to like the software will choose the makers on their own. It will choose them based on like fee, or if they have a fidelity bond, and then the more expensive fidelity bond. And there'll be some randomness to make the decentralization better. So then what's happened is the next two lines, send single contract transaction, and received send us contract transaction sig. That's needed in the protocol, and that's it's to make it like safe for the thing to happen. And the next three lines are broadcasting my funding transaction. So that's the taker has sent its money into those multi-sig addresses, and they're waiting for them to be confirmed. So what you need to do, actually, you're going to need a fifth terminal, which will be to create blocks.
To create blocks. Well, I've got a fifth one. Will this let me drag it down? Oh no, that's Bitcoin D running. I'll just open another one.
Yeah.
Here, if it will let me. And I need to mine some 6 blocks now, right?
No, 1 block is fine.
Oh, just 1 block is fine again. Okay.
Yeah. It's actually one of the parameters the maker will say how many confirmations do they need, and right now it's 1, so it's easier, but maybe in the real world people put 6 or something. But yeah.
Okay.
And then when you press enter, you're going to see the taker is going to start to do stuff. So now it's said, like these messages. Now there's a message called proof of funding, which is the taker saying that it's sent this funding transaction that's been mined, and it will send the proof of that to the maker. And then the maker can say, oh, look, great, someone wants to do a coin swap with me. And they will return with their own funding transaction.
Okay, so is that, so we've got waiting for funding transaction, then we mined a block, and then we got this funding transaction confirmed message, followed by a proof of funding message.
And then it's even got things for what's happening. So this amount is the 2 Bitcoins we're doing it for. And the coin swap fees will be that amount. So that's 2 million Satoshi. And then there's the miner fee paid by taker is that much. And the next amount will be a number that's slightly less than 2 Bitcoins. And that's the way the fees work. So the taker will send, say, 2 Bitcoins in this case, and it will receive a slightly smaller amount. And the difference is the fee that the makers earn.
Ah, got you. Okay.
And then there's a few more messages going back and forth. And then there's another set that's seen in mempool. When it gets to that point, the taker and everyone else are just waiting for a new block to be mined.
Okay. But in this scenario, did you said that 1 confirmation is what's required? So why is it still waiting for?
So this was 1 confirmation for the previous set of funding transactions, but now there's been a new set. So hold on, I'll explain. So the way CoinSwap works is the taker sends a funding transaction to a 2-2 multisig, and that multisig is between the taker and the first maker. And then this first maker, they have to send their own funding transaction. And that, like the second set of funding transaction, is the multisig is between maker 1 and maker 2. And then finally, Maker 2 sends their own set of funding transactions between Maker 2 and Taker. So you get this kind of multi-hop coin swap. So there's coins which used to belong to the Taker, they'll now belong to Maker 1. Coins which used to belong to Maker 1, they'll now belong to Maker 2. And coins which used to belong to Maker 2 will now belong to the Taker.
Got you.
So what's happening there is the reason there's two makers is then each maker, they don't know the final destination. So Maker 1 only knows that the coins came from Taker and they're going to Maker 1. They're going to Maker 2. And Maker 2 only knows the coins came from Maker 1 and they're going to Taker. And only the Taker knows the whole route, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So, okay, so Maker 1 and Maker 2 don't know the final destination. They just know the next hop, like in the next hop, quote unquote.
Exactly, yeah. It's only on a need-to-know basis. They don't know the initial source or the final destination unless they're in that place in the route.
Okay, but could they not the next hop, could they not see that the coins don't move again after that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, the coin swaps, they're not connected on chain. So if the coins don't move, they don't they can't see the next hop.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And there's an interesting thing of the coins not moving is the way this protocol works is for kind of the settlement. We'll get to that in a second. Each person, actually, each entity, they send their private keys over. So there's what happens is if, say, Maker 1, they've got coins in a 2 of 2 multisig, and when the protocol is finished, they're going to own both private keys of the 2 of 2 multisig, and then they essentially own the coins. But the clever thing is then they don't have to make an actual blockchain transaction. So those coins could remain unspent for a really long time.
Okay.
You see what I mean? Then that saves miner fees, and it's also better for anonymity because you can, there could be a coin swap and the coins could just stay there for a long time. And you don't know, was that a maker who just hadn't spent them yet, or were they really to the taker?
Right, okay. Okay, I think I got you. Okay.
And and now just
sorry to cut you off. So the two makers that we have set up here, they don't have. This is all automated. They're not having to do anything. They're just pretty much just have their software running like we have now, and it's all kind of just doing its thing in the background.
Absolutely.
Or is there any what's the word I'm looking for? Interaction requirements for any portion of this?
No, there isn't. There's no interaction with a human. So the ideal is that the maker, someone could just turn it on and then maybe forget about it, and they could come back in a week and they'll have seen that a couple of coin swaps may have happened and they've earned some fees. Right.
Okay. Question from sock _ Mike. Do makers need to first coin swap their UTXOs that they want to broadcast for yield?
That's a good question. They don't. There's no requirement. But I suppose some people might prefer it for privacy. I don't know, but there's no requirement. It's similar. If people are familiar with Join Market, there's makers there as well. People send their coins from some other wallet into the Join Market wallet, and then over time, those coins go through coin joins. It's a similar thing here, but it's coin swaps instead of coin joins.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So we've got about 10 minutes left. Is there anything we can kind of accomplish significantly in the next couple of minutes?
So what you should do is create another block.
Okay, create another block. Oops. Let me just see if I can do this. See this. Okay, so create one more block.
And then it'll do the same thing, which is the same as before, but going to Maker 2. And then if you create another block, then it will have the settlement, which is where it finishes the coin swap. There we go. So you can see the final few messages there, sending hash pre-images and private key handover.
Okay, so send in sign receives contract transaction, receivers contract, hash pre-image, some private key hand. Oh, okay, so this is the private key handover.
That was the thing I mentioned. That as a final result, someone has a 2 of 2 multisig, but they own both keys. So now what we should do to finish up is run wallet balance for each wallet again. And you'll see that there's been the wallet will tell you that there's been a coin swap. And
Okay.
you'll also see that the maker's balance has gone slightly up by the amount of the fees, and the taker's balance has gone down a bit.
Okay. So cargo run dash wallet
The wallet balance,
wallet
and that'll be the
balance.
takers. Okay. So that looks right. You can see all these other coins. If you look at the type column.
Type. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, type. So this seed, that means that these coins, they can be recovered from the seed phrase, that they're just like another wallet. And these swap coins, the coins that are called swap coins, they live on a 2 of 2 multisig. And the taker knows both private keys. So they're in their own wallets, but because those private keys aren't a part of the seed phrase, then they can't be recovered from the seed.
Okay.
And it also means those swap coins, they're in a sense more private, like they're not connected to the taker's earlier money, like they've gone through a coin swap.
Okay. But in order to so in order to spend now, you have the two private keys, which would enable you to do what you want with them, basically.
Your money in your wallet, like it's in your possession, and like any other coin that you have the private keys to.
Yeah.
Also, you can see at the bottom total balance. It used to be 15 bitcoins, and now it's gone down by a bit. I know this has made up money, but that's quite an expensive fee.
Yeah. And is that made up of the fees for both makers? So maker 1 and 2. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the miner fees. So the taker pays for all the miner fees, and then the maker they sit there and make money.
Right. Okay.
And then if you did the same thing for the maker's wallet balance, you'll see that it's basically the same thing, but the total balance has gone up.
So if I do wallet balance here.
Yeah.
Cool. So they've earned 0.2 and some change.
Yeah.
And probably the same for 2 as well. Okay. They've earned 0.19 and some change. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. And there's another thing to note. You can see the value is they're all random values. Like we did a coin swap for 2 bitcoins, but nowhere does it actually appear 2 bitcoins. It's also
interesting. Yeah.
1.024 whatever.
Yeah.
So this amount-based correlation also doesn't work.
Very cool.
And that's a successful coin swap. That's probably a good place to ask for questions.
Yeah. That was a very awesome demo. I'm glad I could actually get that done. Let me stop sharing my screen 1 second, and we'll get interacting with the people again. I'll move this over here. Yeah, thanks for that, Chris. That was amazing. This is super exciting stuff. Like, I hope you guys found it interesting. And what do you hope to see then? Like, kind of like next stages for the project. I know, like, you've kind of labeled it as like an alpha release, and I guess you want to see more people using it and playing around with it, maybe finding bugs and stuff like that. What are kind of like the next steps for you?
Yeah, so that would be great. So there's a few, the project is rusty some around the edges. Like there's bits where, for example, some of the funding transactions, it can like not find enough coins and then it crashes and then it's really annoying. So those kind of small things to fix. But the thing I'm really excited about is right now, the 2 of 2 multisig, they're like literally a multisig transaction that anyone can see as a multisig. And also 2 of 2 multisigs, they're quite rare on the blockchain. Like, and that's not very good for anonymity because most transactions are just single sig. So the next step, after all the mundane stuff, the next step is to figure out how to use ECDSA2P. And that means what that is, that's multi-party. It's like a mathematical protocol where you make a single public key, but it's because of maths, it's actually a 2 of 2 multisig. And the idea would be then to use that in the coin swap instead of like literally 2 of 2 multisigs. And what would happen there is then these transactions, they would just be multisigs. Excuse me. Those transactions, they would just be single sigs. They would be single sigs, and there'd be no way of looking at them. Like there'd be no way of observing that they're actually multisigs secretly.
Because that's going to be my next bit. Like, can Taproot be integrated into this protocol at all?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Taproot
Okay, yeah.
would be a way, but there's a thing that like Taproot is good, but there's a thing that kind of concerns me, which is most transactions out there don't use Taproot; they use ECDSA, and it's really like it'll be really. I don't think it's credible to like just wait for the whole ecosystem to update because they probably won't.
Yeah.
For years. And then if we use ECDSA 2P, like multi-party ECDSA, we can get that anonymity set like today, tomorrow, without waiting for anyone else.
Got you.
So then we have to use this thing, even though it is a bit more complicated and like you'll have to make it work somehow. But it's really important. I'll make it work, and other people. So yeah,
Okay,
and then the important thing is once that happens. So right now, because it's using the kind of legacy multisigs, the privacy isn't really that great because multisigs aren't that common on the blockchain. But when the multi-party ECDSA comes in, then it will suddenly be really good privacy, like even better than join market, even better than CoinJoin, which already exist. And then I think what I hope is that people like really start to use it because hey, you can get the best privacy so far that we have. So why not use it? And then there'll be, because of that, when a project has more users, then you get people noticing bugs, you get people like hacking on it, working on it, and I think that will really push the project forward to make it like a whole community around it, I think.
Yeah, fantastic. So if you have any questions, guys, we're gonna stay on for a couple of more minutes. I just wanted to ask as well. So, what's the easiest way for people, developers specifically, or maybe non-developers? Maybe there's other aspects of the project that could use with some help, whether it be documentation or project management or whatever it might be. Like, what's a good way to get involved in the project?
So probably the best thing to do is to use the project slowly. Do the same thing we did today. Like download the project and play around with doing coin swaps against yourself. And there's also we did it on RegTest, but you can also do them on the testnet. Like there's Bitcoin testnet and there's Bitcoin Signet, and they actually have two makers running on Signet. You can do coin swaps against them. And then just to get experience how it works. And if there's a bug, you can tell me and I'll fix it. And if there's that kind of thing, and slowly get used to it. And also, if you want to learn, I'd suggest like reading through the code to see how does he make whatever this thing work? How does he make multisigs work? You can learn all that stuff in there.
Okay, fantastic. So we have a question from sock_Mike again. Thanks, this is awesome work, very educational. Is the Watcher program taking any extra security precaution measures due to makers' coins sitting on a hot wallet, i.e. multisig being one?
Yeah, so the Watchtower is doing an important job for the makers, but it's not to do with hot wallets. It's to do with during that process of a coin swap, what could happen is, so for example, you remember we had 3 transactions being sent from the taker to the maker, and then 3 transactions from maker 1 to maker 2. So what would have happened if maker 1 wanted to cause trouble and then they broadcasted a transaction early? So there's a set of transactions that didn't appear in this demonstration. They're called contract transactions. They're also called backout transactions. And they're the transactions that happen if something goes wrong. So for example, suppose taker sent coins to maker 1 and then maker 1 just disappeared. The way taker could get their money back is they'd broadcast these contract transactions and then wait for a timeout. Like it's similar how in Lightning, if you ever done a forced close, you have to wait a couple of blocks. It's the same idea there. And then Watchtower makes sure that the interests of the maker are protected. So if like one of the makers broadcasts a transaction too early, Watchtower will broadcast the other transactions, and then they'll wait for the timeout and then broadcast the transaction which sends the coins back to the maker's wallet. And they do other, like there's a few tasks they do, but they're that kind of thing. So they're there in case things go wrong. Things will go wrong quite rarely, but they need to be there to stop coins being stolen.
And what's their incentive then? Because makers, like you argue that they're collecting fees and stuff, but is there like a business model around running a Watchtower at all, or is it like?
Yeah, so the Watchtower it's a program, but it's controlled by the same person as the maker. So someone who runs a maker, they'll also run a Watchtower, and they'll probably, I imagine that they'll run multiple Watchtowers. Like they might run one on the same computer and then one on a different computer, and that helps if there's a power cut. So you don't have the Watchtower disappear as well. The other computer which didn't have a power cut, the Watchtower will still be running, and therefore protect their coins.
Got you. Fantastic. Cool. Any other comments, questions from the chat? Thanks for tuning in today. We've been gone a little minute, but you guys showed us a lot of love and stuck around with us to the end. So really appreciate that. Leave a comment if there are any other kind of topics, demos, walkthroughs, code walkthroughs you want to see. Like we've got lots of stuff coming up, so stay tuned. Remember to subscribe to the Twitch if you haven't already. Subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't already as well, and please share this around. We want to get the number of people interested in doing Bitcoin development up. Seems like we're in a bit of a bear market. They always seem like the best times to build as well. So if you're in
less distractions.
yeah, less distractions for sure. All right, cool. It looks like that was the last question we got. Do you have any final comments, Chris, before we close out?
No, not really. I think I've said everything today.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
all
thanks
right.
everyone for watching.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Yeah, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again, Chris. See you soon.
Thank you.